Tonight on the news at 10, a man brings a rifle into a Hickory Hill Walmart. We're live on the scene tonight with the latest and with what the Walmart headquarters had to say about the incident. Plus, the community is outraged tonight after a 2-year-old boy accidentally shoots himself in Millington. The strong message from one concerned resident. And could cooler temperatures be on the way? Weather expert Jake Dalton will have that in his forecast next on the news at 10.
It was deemed unsolvable prior to my involvement. Very small amount of DNA.
Just a speck of a speck.
Decades later, can it help this expert catch the killer?
And I scream, today's your day, Rock.
48 Hours, Saturday on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
From WREG in Memphis, this is News Channel 3 at 10.
Breaking news tops the 10 tonight as shoppers scramble for safety after a man brings a rifle inside of a Hickory Hill Walmart. This incident prompting that Walmart location to go into a temporary evacuation. Hello, and thanks for joining me for the news at 10. I'm Noah Sershin in for Shay Arthur tonight. The man who brought that rifle into the store has been arrested. WREG's Jarita Patterson joins us live now from that Walmart in Hickory Hill with the latest. Jarita, what can you tell us?
Yeah, it's safe to say that many folks were likely on edge following what happened here less than 2 hours ago. I can tell you in the last 10 minutes, we were actually just on the phone with a director with Walmart. She has nearly 2 decades of experience with the major retailer, and she is telling us they are still trying to figure out how this all happened. Folks, it was just before 8 o'clock this evening when police were actually called to this particular Walmart just off of Winchester Road. When they arrived, they found a man armed with a rifle, we have been told, on the store property. That director actually telling us that man was actually able to make his way into the store. Fortunately, he was taken into custody without any issues. We have been told no shots were fired and there were no reported injuries at this time. In a quick statement from the director, or excuse me, I should say from the Walmart spokesperson, they are telling us, quote, the safety of our associates and customers is our priority. We are working closely with local law enforcement, and they will need to field any questions you might have. But again, folks, it's happening just before 8 o'clock. If it's still there, there is security that has been making its round. It may not. Actually, it's just behind us here. We've actually seen this particular truck, again, making its way around this particular parking lot, really focusing on the backside and the front, of course, of this lot. But once more, no shots were fired, and they were able to take that person armed with the rifle who made his way inside the store into custody. We asked plenty of questions, and that was who alerted police to this, but also if this was all caught, of course, on security. Those questions have not been answered just yet, but of course, once we learn more, you will be the first to know, both on air and online at WREG.com. We're live in Southeast Memphis, Southeast Shelby County, I should say. Jarita Patterson, WREG News Channel 3.
All right, thanks, Jarita. We know you'll be working to get more information in this developing story. And even more breaking news tonight, a portion of 1 Mid-South Road has been closed due to a fatal crash. Memphis police say that this happened on 3rd Street near East Mitchell just after 9. One person has died. No word yet on when this street will reopen. New at 10, Memphis police are asking for the public's help in finding a man who has been missing for almost 2 months. 43-year-old Antonio Smith was last seen on Dunlap Street on September 1st. He is described as a 150-pound, 5'11" man with black hair and brown eyes. If you locate Smith or know of his whereabouts, please contact the Memphis Police Department at 901-545-2677 or the Missing Persons Bureau at 901-636-4479. Also new at 10, we're following a developing story out of DeSoto County where a body was found along the interstate. Sheriff's deputies are telling us that the body of a Hispanic man was found along I-55 just south of a rest area near Hernando. Authorities say it is unclear if any foul play was involved. We're working to learn more about this incident, and for any updates, go to WREG.com or on our mobile app. A toddler is recovering from a gunshot wound to the face after shooting himself with an unsecured gun. This happened last night around 10:30 in North Shelby County. The child was brought to the hospital in critical condition but is now stable. We went back to Millington today where the shooting happened. No one was home, but we did speak with a neighbor that lived in that area for more than 30 years who said that with great responsibility comes great ownership.
Don't leave a gun laying around it loaded where a child can get a hold of it. And you hear people, I shot myself, I was cleaning my gun. You don't clean a gun and it loaded. That is foolish.
Neighbors who heard the shooting described the incident as chaotic. No word on if the owners of the gun are being charged in this accidental shooting. In a crime alert, a man is dead after a shooting near the Castalia Heights area. This shooting happened around 4:30 this afternoon on La Paloma Street. The victim was found dead on the scene. If you have any information about this incident, call Crime Stoppers at 901-528-CASH. Also in a crime alert, a shooting in Orange Mound that left a man in critical condition. Officers responded to a shooting in the 2800 block of Park Avenue close to 1 p.m. A man was found dead with a gunshot wound and taken to Regional 1 Hospital in critical condition. If you know any information about this shooting, call Crime Stoppers. Memphis police need your help in identifying a suspect in a hit and run. Police say that it happened near the intersection of South Perkins Road and Judy Lynn Avenue. The pedestrian was pronounced dead. Police are looking for the driver of this dark-colored sedan with hood and front-end damage that left the scene. The sedan continued driving south on Perkins Road. If you know any information about this deadly hit and run, call Crime Stoppers. That number again, 901-528-CASH. A registered sex offender is behind bars tonight in Covington after police say that he solicited another minor. Covington police say 26-year-old Troy Bacon was involved in an inappropriate relationship with a 17-year-old at a home near Liberty Street. Detectives later confirmed Bacon was a registered sex offender reporting in Tipton County. He was originally convicted for a criminal attempt to commit solicitation of a minor 3 years ago. When Bacon was taken into custody again, he was charged with solicitation of a minor and statutory rape. He was transported to the Tipton County Jail where he remains in custody on a $25,000 bond.
All right, well, gray and gloomy day out there and even becoming a bit foggy in spots. A lot of this really just some of that really low level moisture in the air, not causing major issues with visibility. But as we go over to our visibility tracker, you can see at the airport in Memphis reporting visibility down to a mile. When things are clear, it's about 10 miles. So definitely some fog in the area, so just look out for that if you happen to be out and about traveling this evening. You can see on our current conditions out there, 65, our dew point number is 64. So because those two numbers are pretty close together, that brings our humidity up to 97%, and sometimes that can lead into some fog formation out there. We do have some showers too still ongoing on Storm Tracker 3S, some near Forest City all the way up to Harrisburg, Blytheville, Dyersburg, really getting the bulk of the rain today. We certainly did see some in Shelby County, especially in and around downtown Memphis and around the Millington area, but for now things are looking dry. By the morning though, we're in the 60s, more showers on and off through the day tomorrow, and then we get the big cool down starting tomorrow night. We'll talk about the full details on all of that coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Jake, we'll check back in with you in a few. Thanks. Well, new at 10, as of this evening, United Auto Workers at One Tennessee General Motors plant have joined the ongoing strike around the nation. The walkout is happening in Spring Hill as negotiations continued with GM following 2 nights of late talks at the Detroit automaker. The strikes are aimed at getting companies to submit to better wages and benefits for factory workers. The union has a tentative agreement with Stellantis NV and confirmed a deal with Ford Motor Company earlier this week. Well, it's that time of year again. Halloween is just 3 days away, which means people are getting ready to go trick-or-treating. However, Memphis police want people to keep safety at the forefront. WREG's Quamitra Wilborn went to today's trunk-or-treat hosted by MPD and has tips for you to know before you send your trick-or-treater out on the hunt for candy.
Happy Halloween!
Dressed in their best costumes.
So I wanted to be something scary, but I didn't find nothing, so I just found this one because I liked it.
Dozens of kids filled the Memphis Police Tillman Precinct parking lot for the department's Trunk or Treat event.
What's your favorite part about Halloween?
The candy.
Kids in the community were on the hunt to collect as much candy as possible.
A lot.
A whole bucket.
However, some kids had other priorities.
I don't want my teeth to be hurting.
The Memphis Police Department is among the many organizations hosting a trunk or treat this weekend for people looking for an alternative way to celebrate the holiday. Major Albert Bonner says if you plan on taking your kids out, make sure you keep them in your sight at all times and avoid large crowds where you can easily get separated.
Watch your surroundings. Make sure you go to a house that's well lit.
He encourages parents to always inspect their children's candy and throw out any pieces that have any signs of tampering. Major Bonner says those welcoming trick-or-treaters also need to be aware of anyone who may be wanting to cause trouble.
A lot of times these older kids are coming, they have masks on, and so it can be a chance for some problems.
He says you should keep your home well lit, and once you're done passing out candy, turn off your lights as a signal to trick-or-treaters that the shop is closed.
If you can do that, we think we have a good and enjoyable Halloween.
Reporting from Binghamton, Kwamitra Wilborn, WREG News Channel 3.
Some good tips there, Kwamitra, thanks. Here are some additional tips for a safe Halloween. According to the National Safety Council, you want to make sure that all costumes, wigs, and accessories are fire resistant. And if your children are allowed out after dark, make sure they have some sort of reflective material or tool on their clothing so they can be seen. Also, teach your children to never enter a stranger's home or car, and be sure to set a specific time for your children to come home. Remembering the victims, people gather at the site of that mass shooting in Maine to remember the lives lost. The new details we're learning about the gunman's motive in this deadly mass shooting. Plus, ground invasions are expected to begin in Gaza as the war between Israel and Hamas escalates. The latest on the war there, as well as how the subject affects your child's mental health. And remembering a friend. A look back at the life and legacy of Friends actor Matthew Perry, next on The News at 10.
The #1 10 p.m. newscast, WREG News Channel 3.
Welcome back to the News at 10. We're continuing to stay on top of breaking news for you tonight. A man is in custody after bringing a rifle into a Walmart on Winchester Road around 7:50 tonight. The store was evacuated when the man was seen on property. Police were able to find the man and detain him without anyone getting hurt and no shots being fired. As we find any more details on this breaking story, we will be sure to update you. The manhunt for Robert Carr is now over. Authorities say that the suspect in Maine behind a shooting killing 18 and injuring 13 took his own life 2 days after the massacre. News Nation's Laura Engel is in Maine tonight with the new information police are saying.
Right at 7:45 last night, when Mr. Carr was located deceased from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
After days of intense searching for 40-year-old Robert Card, the suspect in Maine's deadliest mass shooting earlier this week, a dramatic conclusion announced Friday night.
The Maine State Police have located the body of Robert Card.
Card was found inside a trailer at a recycling plant where he once worked with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The trailer, located in Lisbon Falls, Maine, is less than a mile from where Card abandoned his vehicle near a boat ramp along the Androscoggin River the night he allegedly shot and killed 18 people inside a local bar and bowling alley in nearby Lewiston. Local and state officials announced new key details in the case, telling the public it was Card's own family that helped law enforcement initially identify him and told police they found a note.
It's a note to a loved one and is saying that this is the passcode for my phone, this is the bank account numbers, and I wouldn't describe it as a explicit suicide note, but the tone and tenor was that the individual was not going to be around.
We've also learned that he had been in possession of 3 guns, the long gun that was found in his car and 2 found with his body. Local officials say that Card had legally purchased several guns, some just a few days before the attacks. Officials also said they believed there was a mental health component at play, saying he suffered from paranoia, believed people were talking about him, and was possibly hearing voices. Card's body was found inside a trailer similar to the ones you see here behind me at the Maine Recycling Corporation. This is the overflow lot, and it was the owner who told law enforcement this is an area that needed to be checked, and law enforcement say it was that tip that ended the manhunt.
Well, did you check trailers? And the answer is yeah, we checked the trailers that were there. And then the owner, again being diligent and knowing his property, said, well, did you check those trailers? Which trailers? Well, the ones across the road, down here across Central Ave. And the answer was no.
Now, a community grieves together this weekend after an excruciating few days of fear and heartbreak.
It's a big relief to the citizens of Lewiston. You feel like we can now begin to pick up the pieces.
And that was News Nation's Laura Engel reporting. Law enforcement says that they will continue to have a large presence in that area until they finish gathering evidence and interviewing witnesses. More vigils are expected in the coming days. In news around the world, Israel has begun to expand its ground invasions in Gaza. The Israeli military has begun sending heavily armored troops into Palestinian territory. This comes 3 weeks after Hamas launched its initial attack on Israeli civilians. As the tanks rolled into Gaza, the skies lit up from airstrikes. The extent of Israel's movement is still unclear, but 2 U.S. officials tell us that this appears to be a rolling start to a ground invasion. Well, with wars taking place across the globe, graphic images and stories are more accessible to children now more than ever. Dr. Robert Gerwich is a psychologist at Duke University who has studied the impact of dangerous images shown to children and how it affects their mental and emotional health. For kids listening and watching these stories through social media and the airways, Gerwich says that parents should talk with their kids to make sure they understand what's going on.
Check in with your children around what do they know, correct misinformation, and then check in with how is this making them feel and accept that. If it's making them feel really angry, that's okay. If it's making them sad or worried or scared or all of those things at once, that's okay.
Dr. Gerwich says children are at a greater risk for anxiety the more they are exposed to mass violence and terrorism. News Channel 3 is your local election headquarters, and former Vice President Mike Pence announced that he is dropping out of the presidential race. Pence is the first major candidate to leave the race, which continues to be dominated by his former boss, Donald Trump. This comes after his campaign for the White House struggled to raise money or gain traction in the polls. Pence made the announcement at the annual gathering of the Republican Jewish Coalition, saying, quote, "This is not my time." And as general elections draw near, candidates for a state office are encouraging voters to get to the polls. For the 22nd year in a row, the candidates made some of their final attempts to sway voters at the Mississippi Hobnob. While many people vying for seats in government were there, the most watched race was the Mississippi governor's race. Economic development, education, and expansion of affordable health care were just some of the key points made today. Governor Reeves and Democratic challenger Brandon Presley each took the stage to share their ideas on how to create a better Mississippi.
There is a working majority in the House and Senate of Democrats and Republicans that would pass Medicaid expansion today. They would pass it today, except Tate Reeves stands against it. He stands against the 16,000 jobs that would be created, and he insults working people by saying that they're on welfare.
But let me explain why I'm opposed to Obamacare expansion in Mississippi. It's the same reason I've been opposed to it for the last 12 years. Adding 300,000 able-bodied adults to the welfare rolls is not the right thing to do. It's not the right thing to do for Mississippi.
While Presley believes Medicaid expansion will help struggling rural hospitals, Governor Reeves is opposed to that idea. And some sad news from Hollywood tonight. Actor Matthew Perry has died. TMZ reports the actor was found dead at a Los Angeles home in a jacuzzi. Authorities say that no drugs were found at the scene and no foul play is suspected. Perry is most known for his role as Chandler Bing in the 90s sitcom Friends. He also starred in films like Fools Rush In and 17 Again. He wrote a memoir that was released last year detailing his struggles with addiction and serious health challenges. Perry was 54.
It's going to feel like winter soon enough. I mean, it's felt like spring, right, the last few days, and we're going to turn things around very quickly. Today, a good dose of rain in many places. We certainly need the rain, and I know our friends and neighbors down in North Mississippi really need the rain too, and your chance will come more so late tomorrow night into Monday. Where we stand right now is in the 60s, 65. Humidity is high. It's actually led to a little bit of fog out there, so be careful out there on the roads if you're out and about this evening. Made it up to 80 today after a morning start at 68, so yes, another above average day. But we're going to be done with 80s for a while. You'll see why here in a second. There's Storm Tracker 3S radar. You've got some bands of lighter to moderate showers ongoing. Forest City up to Blytheville, Dyersburg, still seeing some rain at this hour. and that's accumulated in some spots upwards of an inch, inch and a half. Radar estimating about an inch and a half in parts of Shelby County, especially in and around downtown Memphis towards the Millington area, and about an inch or even two up near Blytheville and Dyersburg. We're still looking at more rain on the way, so we're going to add to these totals over the next 24 to 36 hours. Front basically still sitting where it was when I was with you last night, so we're still looking at kind of the same thing. Until that front gets a push, we're just going to continue to get waves of rain on and off through tomorrow morning. There's a snapshot of 6 a.m. If you're out and about early, again, could be some showers around. A little bit cooler to the north. Notice Blytheville, Dyersburg in the 50s, elsewhere in the 60s. Well, you know, there's going to be some dry periods through the day, similar to today, especially if you're in areas like Memphis, Holly Springs, Oxford. Did not see, you know, a total washout of the day. Probably same case tomorrow, but in eastern Arkansas, you're going to deal with rain for pretty much the entire day. It's Sunday night when we finally start to see things change up. Notice the rain does start to shift its way to the south and east. Temperatures also dropping at this point too. So Monday morning, it's a chilly, wet start to the work week. It's going to be in the 40s. The wind will be blowing. It's going to feel like the 30s. There's going to be wet roadways, so just be careful and check in on things before you head out the door Monday morning. By lunchtime Monday, a lot of the rain is shifting out of the mid-south, but temperatures stay in the 40s. So we will not get out of the 40s all day long on Monday, and then we're in the 30s by Tuesday morning. As far as how much rainfall we're going to add on through Monday afternoon, about another inch or so in and around Memphis up to Blytheville, Dyersburg, probably another inch or two. So certainly some beneficial rain. And again, we'll see those totals closer to about a half of an inch of rain down in northern Mississippi through DeSoto County, down towards, say, Batesville, and then towards Oxford. You're probably looking at more quarter to maybe half of an inch of rain as well as we go through the next few days. So there's the 7-day. And notice that big change next week. It's the temperatures. 48 Monday, 35 at night, 52 on Tuesday. We're down to freezing on Tuesday night going into Wednesday morning. So first freeze and frost situation of the season. Wednesday and Thursday mornings, we'll see things moderate back into the 60s and 70s by next weekend.
Thanks, Dave. Sports is next. Stay with us.
Now, Colin Cody with News Channel 3 Sports.
Now, AAC newcomers, North Texas, hosted the Memphis Tigers today for their homecoming, and it was a trip back home to Denton, Texas for Tigers quarterback Seth Hennigan. Hennigan said he gave out about 20 tickets to friends and family members to come out and watch him play on Saturday, so you know he wants to put on a big show. Still in the show early and often, though, was Tigers running back Blake Watson. Second snap of the game, Watson goes 64 yards to the house. Yeah, he even gets pushed into the end zone. A little help there. 5 minutes after that, Watson, this time back with the football in his hands, opposite side of the field, follows his blockers, and this one is for 65 yards. Yeah, 1 yard better than the first touchdown. Second quarter, Seth Hennigan here working and playing the screen pass to Watson to perfection. Watson making his way through traffic. Somehow he breaks loose, and just like that, it looks like he's taken down inside of the end zone, but after review, his butt bone was down at the 1. Brandon Thomas would punch it in. Memphis led 31-10 at the break, but UNT scores 32 seconds left in the game to take their first lead when Chandler Rogers finds Jamori Macklin for the 6-yard score. But it's a lot of time left on that clock. 18 seconds is a long time for Seth Hennigan. Hennigan, this time, I told you he wanted to put on a show. He finds Joe Skates for the 33-yard touchdown to retake the lead. Hennigan's first score of the game, 330 yards passing. Blake Watson, 269 all-purpose in the 45-42 victory. And now the Memphis Tigers are 6-2 and bowl eligible for a 10th straight season. Now we'll get back to college football in a minute. After dropping the first 2 games of the season at FedEx Forum, the Grizzlies looking for more success elsewhere tonight, tipping things off in the nation's capital, taking on former Grizz Tyus Jones, who was traded in the offseason. First quarter, Grizzlies down by 3. Jaren Jackson Jr. in his bag early, knocks down the midi. Yeah, then on the rebound, you got John Conchar with the offensive rebound, working the glass. Jaren knocks down the straightaway 3, wide open. He had 16 points in 40 minutes, 4 rebounds and 1 block. But it was a lot of fight for the Grizzlies tonight. Derrick Rose rising to the top, blocks Jordan Poole. Memphis, who run it in transition. Jitty with the finish on the fast break. But facing his former team, Tyus Jones, 14 points, 7 assists. Bain finished with 26, but it looks like a third straight loss for Memphis as they lose 113-106. Now, like I said, back to the SEC. 12th ranked Rebels welcome Vandy to Oxford for homecoming. Ole Miss on the opening drive, Jackson Dart. This time he hands it off to Quinshon Judkins. Judkins bouncing into the end zone, and it's easy. He's a smooth criminal, just like that. Yeah, you better beat it. Now, Vandy, his Ken Seals right here, he's picked up by Trey Washington. And Washington, that's one of 2 picks for him. He returns this one for a nice return, 25 yards. Rebels, they walk away with 3. Second quarter, they're up 13. Jackson Dart with a heave downfield to Dayton Wade. Wade making the great grab on the underthrown ball for a 48-yard pickup. Dart, he finishes off the drive with a 1-yarder. Rebels go up 20, but they're back in the red zone midway through the second quarter. This time, Dart, he's going to finish what he started. He's going to give it back to Wade in the end zone for the score. Rebels win big, 33-7, to improve to 7-1, and will host Texas A&M next Saturday. Number 21, Tennessee and Lexington taking on the Wildcats. Both teams 5-2, and a win here goes a long way in the race to the top of the SEC East. First quarter, Vols get active quickly. Jalen Wright hits the gap, bounces to the outside, and outruns that Wildcat defense en route to a 52-yard touchdown. And after knocking down 2 field goals to take a 13-point lead, Devin Leary gets the Wildcats on the board with an 11-yard grab from Berrien Brown. But Joe Milton, he would quickly respond. Next drive, 39 yards, catch and grab from Chaz Nimrod to make it a 20-10 score. Kentucky, they score 17 in the second quarter to make it a 6-point game, but the Vols win this one 33-27. Only 3 incompletions for Joe Milton. UT, they will host UConn next week. Mississippi State, fresh off their first conference win of the season at Arkansas in the Plains Saturday, taking on Auburn. Let's pick up in the first quarter. Tigers quarterback Peyton Thorne throws this one to Shane Hooks. Hooks just makes a play right here. Makes his way into the end zone, muscling past that Bulldog defense to take a 7-0 lead. State would chip in an early field goal, but in the fourth quarter, Xavier Thomas catches his first career touchdown pass, the only time the Dogs see the end zone on Saturday in a 27-13 loss. Now the U of M men's basketball team will hit the floor for the first time Sunday afternoon as they host Lane College in an exhibition game. This is the 3rd straight season the Dragons have made the trip up to Memphis. It's a special game for Tigers head coach Penny Hardaway as he links with one of his idols, Dragons head coach and also former Tiger great, Andre Turner.
Doing something special at Lane College, and then Andre Turner was like one of my favorite players growing up. He's like well known around here. He's a good guy, and whenever he comes back to the building and to the city, it's always special because he has so many fans himself, and it's always special for me.
The Tigers tip things off at the Forum at 2 p.m. Sunday. More News Channel 3 at 10, coming up right after the break.
Happening now, the WREG's Coats for Kids drive is underway, and this year we need your help in getting 3,000 coats for kids in the Mid-South. You have now through December 1st to drop off a new or gently used coat at one of our donation sites. To find a drop-off location near you, click on the story on our website, WREG.com. Jake joins us now with a final check of the forecast. And Jake, some concerns as we head into next week?
Yeah, a little bit of fog out there right now, so if you're driving around Memphis late tonight, be careful with that. Tomorrow, more passing showers. Temperatures are going to fall through the day, so by tomorrow night, in the 40s. We're in the 40s all day Monday. It's a nasty start to the morning, and then worst freeze of the season Wednesday morning.
Thanks, Jake. Well, that's all the time we have tonight for the News at 10. We thank you for joining us. Check in with Queenstra Wilborn and Windy Nation starting at 5 a.m. for the latest on that man bringing a rifle into a Hickory Hill Walmart. We'll see you then. Take care. Good night, everyone.